Henry McMaster says the departure of the man who oversees South Carolina's child welfare system is the latest warning sign that that system needs urgent fixes. It falls under the Department of Social Services, whose leader has earned high marks from the governor and other top leaders at the State House, but who is leaving his post next month. State House reporter Mary Green sat down with DSS Director Michael Leach to discuss his views on the governor's stark assessment and what improvements he believes are needed.
A few hours after the governor's office had announced that you were resigning as director, the governor had some pretty candid comments about his view of the child welfare system in South Carolina.
This situation at DSS has been growing and growing, and we've been trying to find the right solution, but it's now clear it's coming to a breaking point.
How would you assess the state of the system right now?
Yeah, so I think when he talks about that, it's about how these systems are so fragile. So as we have lowered caseloads and we have less kids in the system, and we're improving pretty much on almost every metric, and we're top 5 in a lot of metrics in the country. There are some things that we need to be really worried about.
During Director Michael Leach's 5.5 years at the helm of the Department of Social Services, the number of kids and teens in the foster care system has dropped to its lowest point in years. But Leach says the needs of those children in the system are getting worse, with more severe mental health concerns, intellectual disabilities, and autism diagnoses. And the state doesn't have an adequate answer for how to support them.
When families are going into emergency rooms and saying, I don't know what to do with my child, I don't have the help I need, and then they're leaving because they don't have the help, that child ends up in my care. That shouldn't happen, right? We should be figuring out and providing services upstream so that children aren't having to come into foster care because parents don't have the resources and supports to take care of their children.
Leach says they existed at one point, but much was eliminated around the time of the recession. Reinstating these services takes time. Meanwhile, COVID exacerbated the needs. Leach says more kids coming into their system is a factor behind troubling reports about where children sometimes stay while in DSS custody.
Why are there kids who are sleeping in DSS
Yeah,
offices?
again, a very small fraction of our population. We're seeing a lot more parent-child conflict. And so law enforcement goes out and they may EPC that child into our care because the parent and the child are not getting along, or the parent may say, I don't want that child anymore, right? We have children who are refusing to go to placement. We have children who need psychiatric residential help, and there is nothing. We have children who come in at 2 a.m., right? And they're there till we find that placement, right? Hopefully as quickly as possible.
Leach says it's another symptom of the much larger youth mental health crisis plaguing the nation.
We are seeing young people that never would have entered the foster care system previously, before COVID, now are coming to the foster care system because of all the things that I mentioned earlier, right? The lack of services, the lack of supports.
Are there any states that have it figured out?
No. No states have it figured out right now.
What do you think needs to change? And I got to imagine this is probably not a short answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, investments in these systems, right? We need more quality mental health treatment. We need funding for the services that are provided by some of these other state agencies, DDSN, DMH, DJJ, right? We have a lot of young people who are coming through the court system and coming into foster care because their parents say, I'm not taking my child back with me. Well, that's a problem when we can't offer the state can't offer the services needed to be able to address those needs.
But without a facility in the state capable of treating youths with the most severe mental health needs, or space at overcrowded youth detention centers for those who should be in the juvenile justice system, Leach says there's nowhere else for these kids and teens to go but DSS. And the agency isn't equipped or even meant to handle their needs, putting the system at that breaking point.
You have some that are very small percent who are needing really high level services, and they're just not that in South Carolina.
Leach's final day as director of the Department of Social Services is January 2nd. He says a big reason for his departure is the stress of the job, which has become more taxing as these youth mental health crises grow. And Leach says he wants to spend more time with his own family.